You know that feeling when the electricity cuts out unexpectedly and you are plunged into sudden darkness? As a child, alone in your room, your first instinct might be to cry out, "Mom, Dad," or maybe even God. Many thousands of years ago, a woman named Hagar did just that. The light of her life was abruptly snuffed out when she found herself pregnant under dubious circumstances. Not unlike someone else we'll be hearing and singing about tonight. She was frightened, alone, and on the run, feeling invisible, small, and abandoned. So Hagar cried out to God for help, and when he comforted her, she responded in relief by calling him Adonai El Roi, the God who sees me. Hagar felt seen and known, which is all anyone really wants. And it gave her the courage to face her dire circumstances with the confidence that God was with her, watching over her, never going to let her go. 65 generations later, a prophet named Malachi, whose name means "my messenger," wrote down these words: "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. And he will turn the hearts of fathers to their children, and the hearts of children to their fathers, lest I come and strike the land with a decree of utter destruction." And with that final word, destruction, fittingly, the lights clicked off. The people of God were plunged into darkness, as there would be no more words from the prophets, God's messengers, for hundreds of years. Silence cast a shadow over Israel that seemed to only deepen when Alexander the Great rode in with his Macedonian army and conquered Jerusalem, followed by the Ptolemies of Egypt, the Syrian Seleucids, and finally Rome. Ruler after ruler, oppressor after oppressor, it was hard to fathom the name Adonai El Roi, the God who sees us. Was he really watching? Paying attention? Had he turned his face away or shut his eyes? That's the thing about being mortal. We can't see in the dark. But God can. Somehow David knew this, and he wrote about it in the Psalms. Even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you. Even when we can't see God, he sees us. Even when we can't see a way forward through the night, he is preparing a way. The oppression that crushed the people of God during the 400 years of silence made Israel feel small, vulnerable, covered in blood, kicked out of the house and told to sleep in the barn. Little did we know, the God who sees even when we can't was preparing a Savior who would arrive the same way. Small, vulnerable, covered in blood, and hidden away in a lowly stable on a cold night in a small town.
No one could agree on anything. During the 400 years when God stopped speaking, people took it upon themselves to fill the dead air with their own ideas, splintering into factions. Pharisees, Sadducees, Essenes, Zealots, and more. All obsessing over minutiae and casting judgment on the other groups. Everyone was completely certain that their way of following God was the right way, the only way, and anyone who differed in the slightest was an aberration, a pariah, irredeemable, not to be associated with, perhaps even a pagan enemy. The word nuance didn't exist yet, and even if it did, it wouldn't have mattered because no one was willing to come to the table and listen, choose generosity of spirit, or pause to consider another's point of view. Sound familiar? Everywhere we look in the world today, it feels like there is no peace. hunkered down in silos of discord and division, everyone seems to have decided they have a corner on the truth. All others be damned. But we must not give in to hopelessness. If you think the world looks scary today, take a look at the period of the Judges. The people of God were being massacred, besieged and attacked from every direction, to the point that they were hiding themselves in the mountain clefts, caves, and strongholds. And yet, in the midst of all the chaos, there was a man named Gideon who called God Jehovah Shalom. The Lord is our peace. Can you imagine Jehovah Shalom when war was raging all around? An angel of the Lord, a messenger, came to Gideon at Ophrah and assured him that God was with him, that Gideon could lead his people into battle and defeat their enemies. In faith that the word of the Lord would prove true, Gideon built an altar to God and called it Jehovah Shalom. Shalom. It might be the most beautiful word in the universe. It means peace, wholeness, perfection, and tranquility. The opposite of what the world often reflects today, and during the 400 years of crushing silence between the Old and New Testaments. It's a word that Hebrew-speaking people both then and now used to say hello and goodbye. It marks the beginning and end of an interaction, the Alpha and Omega. And so it is with all of redemptive history. The world began in Shalom, a garden unblemished by sin. And we know it will end in Shalom, a new heaven and a new earth where God will wipe away every tear from our eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore. And the city has no need of sun or moon to shine on it, for the glory of God gives it light, and its lamp is the Lamb. By its light will the nations walk, and there will be no night there. The Apostle John wrote those words while in exile on the